Good morning and welcome to another video from my narrowboat. If you're new here, my name is Laura and I bring you videos about ritual recipes, paganism, and how to live as a witch, a soft witch in 2025 and beyond. How I take the principles of paganism, the wheel of the year, teachings of things like witchcraft, and sew it into my everyday life, particularly through cooking. I hope everyone has had the most magical week. I have been sick. There's a reason why I'm looking so haggard, and I know that you're going to come in the comments and be very kind and tell me that I don't look haggard. Trust me, I do. I know. But that's the point of this video. I told you I would be bringing you some of my beauty rituals, some of my homemade remedies and elixirs and syrups and soaps and all the things that I do, all the things that I make in my kitchen that aren't food. Although most of them you can actually eat if you wanted to. That's probably the best thing to put on your face or your body, is something that you can put in your face and in your body. I have been in my sick bed for the last 3 days. So yeah, physically I have not been feeling my best, and now I'm not looking my best because I've just been in a pit of despair like a Victorian woman, sweating and convulsing. So I think it's about time that I had a day of self-care to sort of get over that. I am a firm believer that beauty comes from confidence, it comes from within, it comes from loving yourself enough to look after yourself as though you were a treasured object that you own or a beloved pet. It's not so much how you look, it's more how you feel. And all of the things that I do go towards making me feel good. Therefore, I think they make me look good. Usually, I don't do all of these beauty rituals all in one day. I kind of spread them out. For instance, the toothpaste that I'm going to show you, you literally can't use that every day. The face scrub, you'd probably tear your skin off if you did it every single day. But I'm going to do everything that I do in one day today because I need it. I need to scrub off the last 3 days of sweat and illness and have a complete physical reset, and hopefully by the end of this video I should look incredibly presentable. This is something that I would usually do the night before I have a shower because it's going to sit on the roots of my hair for as long as possible, and it's going to be all greasy and it makes my pillow all greasy, but trust me, it is worth it. It's so good for your scalp, it's so good for your hair, it's great for hair growth. I mean, my hair grows quite quickly anyway. Believe it or not, this time 10 years ago, not even 10 years ago, summer 2016 or autumn 2016, I shaved my head. I had a completely shaven head. But one of the things that makes my hair grow exponentially is this. It is a rosemary and lavender oil. And the reason why I put it into these little vials is that I am so liberal with oil use. If there is an oil, I want to douse my hair in it, and I would just end up putting way too much on. So I have to like ration myself so that I don't use too much. The carrier oil that I use is usually, how do you say it? Jojoba? Jojoba? I don't even know how you say it out loud, but that one. Sometimes I use olive oil because olive oil, you know, if you don't want to get any fancy oil or any special type of oil, olive oil is just as good. I then add a few drops, I'll put the proper ratios here, but I add a few drops of lavender essential oil. I add quite a lot of rosemary essential oil, and occasionally I add a little bit of like tea tree or mint or something to give it that like zingy feeling on your roots, almost like you're brushing your teeth but on your hair. I also really think that this stops my hair getting as knotty. I mean, last night when I had to, after 3 days not doing anything to my hair and just having it in a bun, it was in mats. It just dreads itself if I don't do anything to it. I have that sort of hair texture. It's a really annoying hair texture actually. It's kind of quite wavy underneath and then quite straight on top. No idea why, but it gets very frizzy very easily, and it actually just like knots itself. It loves to be in knots, and I'm like those dogs that grow like mats. So you might have seen rosemary has sort of taken the internet by storm, and in shops as well. You will notice that rosemary is known for growing your hair, and it is a thing. It's a thing in folklore. I don't know if it's a thing in science, but in my opinion, in my experience, the folklore that I've read, ancient remedy wisdom stuff that I read, rosemary is known for growing your hair. It's protective, it's purifying, cleansing. Rosemary also is known for ensuring good sleep, as is lavender. This is why I usually put it on my hair before I go to sleep. Rosemary is said to stop bad nightmares happening even. So this is usually like an overnight treatment, but I'm going to put it in this morning just so I can show you what I do. Rosemary is also one of the herbs that are said to keep thieves away. It's highly connected to memory and wisdom. In ancient Greece and ancient Rome, when people were studying, they would wear rosemary in their hair and as wreaths on their collar. And it was said that you would retain the wisdom that you were reading while you were wearing the rosemary. I think the way that that works is that because rosemary is such a distinctive smell and a strong smell, sometimes when you smell a smell, you'll get like this really strong memory that you maybe didn't even know that you had. And it's all connected to smell. So my theory on that is that perhaps because they were wearing the rosemary, the next time they wore the rosemary, they were able to recall what they were reading because of the association of the smell. So that's why it's so connected to wisdom and study. Lavender is also associated, of course, with love, with sleep, happiness, peace. Interestingly enough, both rose and lavender were worn by sex workers to attract customers, and they thought that this was a form of magic, the attraction that it was bringing in for them. They thought that that was witchcraft, that was magic. And so that's why this association with love and attraction is highly connected to things like rose and lavender. The way these associations come about are quite often not so light and airy as you might consider. They might come from something dark, or quite often from people who live on the fringes of society, because these were the people who were making stories and creating culture and creating things. Interestingly enough, lavender is also said to protect against domestic violence. Again, a really dark origin for why we think that lavender is connected to peace. So I just rub it in like that with my fingertips. You'll see that my roots are quite greasy now, but it's fine because we're going to wash my hair in a bit. I have seen all sorts of fancy root massagers in the shops and online. You don't need them. Your fingertips do an amazing job. Like, you don't need anything additional other than your fingertips. And this is also really good for hair growth. Just stimulating the follicles, just giving yourself a bit of a rub. And I also like to grab and pull the top of my hair. They always do that in massages when you're in like Bali and Thailand, and it feels really, really lovely. It feels especially lovely when someone else does it to you. I was lucky enough to go to this amazing spa in Thailand in Koh Samui. It was called Tamarind Springs. It was the most incredible place. Couldn't take any cameras in there, unfortunately, but it was all built into like these rocks. It was incredible. I had the most amazing massage in like the treetops, and then afterwards the lady who did it put my hair into a ponytail, and honestly that was the nicest part of the entire experience. I wanted to cry. I felt so looked after when she put my hair into like a ponytail. Anyway, once you are satisfied that you've spread the oil out through your roots enough, you then want to just pop your hair in a ponytail, and then I just go to sleep and I let it do its thing, and it feels all lovely. Get a covering if you don't want it to like go all over your pillow, because it will go all over your pillow if you sleep in it. Just wash it out the next day. But I don't think you need to leave it in overnight. I like doing that, and I like the smell while I'm sleeping, but I think just an hour is enough. I'm only going to leave it in for an hour today. So onto my face. This next thing that I do is something that I absolutely used to love doing as a kid. If you have kids, especially like girls, because it tends to be girls who become interested in like beauty rituals and a beauty routine. Doesn't have to be and shouldn't only be, but that's just, you know, the way that culture raises the different genders. Anyway, let's not get into that. If you have kids who are interested in like self-care and face masks and are asking you for all of these expensive things that they want to do to their face, all of these like creams and trending this and trending that, I can't even imagine what that must be like nowadays. But when I was a kid, this is what we used to do. We used to do a really simple face steam. It costs almost nothing. It's just hot water and a few herbs or flowers or petals or, you know, whatever you might find in the kitchen. And it's so refreshing. It's so good for your skin. It really feels like an act of self-care. It's almost meditative because you take a few moments to, you know, put a towel over your head and put your face into the steam. Take 5 or 10 minutes just to not be looking at a screen, not doing anything else, just focusing on the feeling, the freshness, the smells. It's really good if you've got like a chest infection or a cough or something. Yeah, I'm such a fan of the face steam. You can even drink it if you want to once you're finished. I mean, you might not want to because you've had your, in my case, sicky face going into it, but you could do if you really wanted to make the most of it. I think I'll be giving it to my plants once it cools down. Today, I've got a mix of hibiscus, rosebuds, and rose petals. Hibiscus is very connected to lust, love, and divination. So you can also use this face steam as an act of divination, as scrying if you want to, because when you look into the water of the bowl, it does look quite psychedelic because you can just see like petals at the bottom, the reflection of you on the water, and you can start to see things in it if you meditate and concentrate. Hibiscus is a really good one to use because of its connection to divination. The smell of hibiscus is gorgeous. I love the smell, I love the taste, and it was said to induce lust, and for that reason it was banned to women in Egypt. I like anything that is an act of rebellion. Even if it's a 2,000-year-old rule, I'm gonna smash it, particularly when it comes to beauty, because my philosophy is not body positivity, it's not even body neutrality, it is body anarchy. If I am told to look beautiful in a certain way, I kind of want to go against that and say, well, what if I dye my hair green? What if I don't shave my armpits? What if I do this? What if I do that? Is that not beautiful? Can we not reframe it as beautiful? I think I'm just a natural rebel, so if I'm told to be a certain thing and to be obedient and blonde and thin and have tanned skin, I'm gonna say no. I'm not doing that. I think we all have a natural inclination to want to feel beautiful, to want to feel like we look good, but that doesn't have to be boxed in a certain way. It doesn't have to mean all one thing to everyone. I'm all for taking the beauty ideal and turning it on its head. This is another reason why I love that the scent of rose was once used by sex workers to attract customers, and now we see it as this beautiful symbol of love and self-love, and it is, but I just love that the origins are a little more risque than you might imagine. Anyway, my kettle's boiling now, so it is time to shut up and steam my face. That really is incredibly meditative. I've been under there for 10 minutes and it's still steaming, and it is so dark under there, but you can sort of see yourself and you can see the petals and you can see the reflections. You could definitely use it for scrying, that's for sure, and my skin is starting to feel so much better already. My pores are all open now. What I do recommend is having a big old drink after you do that, because it gets hot under there. You're going to need to replenish your fluids. The next thing I use is this coconut scrub. Oh, the cat's here. Hello. Hello. Come on then. Hello, good morning. You okay? I'm working, Kitty. Don't stand on the laptop. Don't. Oh, every time. I actually showed this to you in my last video where I showed you my soft witch morning routine. So if you're new here and you haven't seen that yet, I highly recommend going having a look at that, because it kind of explains my philosophy behind these like rituals that I do rather than habits. I'm trying to look at life in this beautiful, ceremonious way instead of chores and things that you need to tick off your to-do list. So every time I make a coffee, I put my coffee grounds into this little bowl. I let them dry out until they're completely dry, and once a week or so I mix them with some coconut oil, usually a little bit of brown sugar, occasionally a little bit of tea tree or some kind of essential oil if I feel like it needs an extra something. And I just use this as a scrub. I use it all over my body and my face, but I only use it on my face maybe 2 or maximum 3 times a week, because it's very coarse. It will take off a layer of your skin, which is a good thing, but you don't necessarily want to do that every single day. And I don't really recommend using that if you have sensitive skin. My skin isn't very sensitive. I'm like an old leather, so I can pretty much put anything on my skin and I'm generally okay. Hello, Kitty. Always comes to interrupt me. I think she hears me talking and she wants to come and hang out, which is very sweet. I do appreciate it. Probably thinks, why the hell are you talking to no one? I'm talking to my friends on the internet, Kitty. Shush. Now, obviously, coconut oil and coffee have really good qualities for your skin, but they also have some magical significance. Coconut is very, very connected to protection, and in fact in old folk magic, I don't know where they were getting coconuts, but I did read about this. They would take a coconut and half it and stuff it with protective herbs and then bury it on their land or at the corner of one of their houses, and that was said to protect your house. To be fair, I say where were they getting coconuts, but I mean folk magic could only be like 100 years ago. We think of people doing these things in like Saxon times, and that's not the case. Excuse me. She does this every time she comes over. She wants to eat these plants. I think she needs like some cat grass or some roughage or something, because she's absolutely obsessed with eating the wheat. The barley and the wheat gets a right chewing on every time she comes over. No, you're not going to trick me. I can see what you're doing. I made a video recently about wassailing, and I left a sort of wassail inspired recipe at the bottom, which was like a mulled cider, which had, you know, cloves and cinnamon and lemon in it. And a few people had a real problem with the idea that anyone could get hold of lemons in the UK post, you know, like the millennium. And I had to explain that like lemon posset is a Tudor recipe. Like there were ways of getting lemons in Britain before the turn of the century. I mean, yeah, maybe in the 1300s they would have been very, very rare, but people have been crossing the English Channel for like 10,000 years. Like people did travel, people moved around, and obviously there was a lot of trade going on. And Spain isn't that far away. You know, Spain was growing oranges and lemons since like 400 BC. I don't think we say BC anymore, do we? We say before Common Era. Anyway, the point is we probably would have had lemons 200 years ago. And yeah, they would have been more rare before that, but we still had access to lemons. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now and put the soap on my face. So yeah, coconuts, incredibly protective. Coffee is known for its energizing properties. No surprise, that's what it does to the body. Sacred to so many places in the coffee belt where they actually grow coffee beans. I look at folklore from all over the world because a lot of our ingredients that we use now come from all over the world. They're not just UK grown or British based, and it's unnecessary for it to be so when we live in an era where we can get hold of, you know, pineapples and coffee and things from all over the place. So I tend to look at folklore from all over the world. Those stories aren't suddenly uninteresting to me because they're from somewhere else. I'd love to do a whole video about this. I haven't quite conceptualized it in my mind yet, so if it sounds a bit random and ranty, that's why. But I would like to explore it in a proper video because I think it's a really interesting topic. It almost borders on like magic cultural appropriation. But yeah, it's an interesting topic. But you can see that I've still got the steam on my face, so I better go and coffee scrub myself. to use it while it's still warm. I might start doing that from now on because it feels beautiful and it smells delicious. Another reason why I only use it once a week. It makes such a mess of the sink. I mean, it's good because it means that I clean my sink. This has made quite a small batch this week because I haven't really drank much coffee this week. I ran out of milk and then I was sick. So I've only made a very small batch, but it's fine because I've got some from last week that's still good. What I don't do though is put the lid on. That creates like a moldy environment. You want to let it breathe and it should be all good for a week at least. The next thing that I use is this. This is an incredibly moisturizing facial mask peel thing. It depends how long you leave it on as to whether it's a mask or a peel, because it does take quite a while to dry. I think you'd probably have to wait like 20 or 30 minutes for it to dry completely so that you could actually peel it off your face. Anytime before that, you just wash it off. In here we have agave. That's like the main ingredient, so it smells divine. It's like a ambery honey. It smells like mead actually, but there's no honey in it. It's just agave, a little bit of chamomile, a little bit of aloe as well. And again, I will put a recipe here for it. I just like the sweetness and the smell of agave. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's such a nice thing to put on your skin. It's really, really soothing, as is the chamomile. Aloe is also connected to luck and protection. It's said to guard against evil influences and prevent household accidents, which again, I just love these weird little folklore things. In regions of Africa, they would hang aloe over doorways to keep evil out. In Mexico, they would make huge wreaths that contained aloe. And again, that's for protection. But the main smell of this, aside from the agave, is the chamomile. Chamomile is used in calming and sleep incenses and brews. It's used to attract money. Gamblers would use a hand wash of chamomile to ensure that they won. But most often, along with most of the other ingredients that I'm using today, it's for attraction, love and peace, sleep, harmony, all the things that ensure that we're getting really good self-care and the things that make us feel beautiful. It's so sticky, so if you get it in your hair and you're not going to wash your hair anytime soon, I don't recommend, because it is very, very sticky, very gummy. But it feels so nice to put something so sticky on your face in a way, because you never get to do that. And it just smells absolutely divine. I have a very, very sticky face. I will see you in 20 minutes when I have taken it off. Ta-da! That's my skin. After that nice little face mask, it feels really, really good. I guess it's kind of hard to tell on camera because it's looking a little bit red, and I always look like a Percy pig when I go a little bit pink. The next thing that I make is a fresh toner. I don't know what toner is. I don't know what toner does. I don't know the point of toner. I use it just for like a refreshing little but I don't know what it does. I don't think anyone knows what it does. I think we all are going home and toning for no reason. But my toner, whatever that is this. I love that I'm giving beauty rituals and I don't even know what any of them do. It smells absolutely divine. So what I do is I just brew some green tea. I've also brewed a mug of it for me to drink, because beauty starts in the inside. It's an inside out type of situation, and this is really nice. I don't usually love green tea because I used to drink it when I was younger too. When I was like 10, I used to knock back a whole thing of green tea before school to like raise my metabolism. Anyway, we won't get into that, but green tea is triggering. But this one is like a cherry green tea, so it's really nice. And obviously green tea is incredibly good for you. Not to raise the metabolism, but for other things. Anyway, so that's what this is. This is green tea, the same stuff as what I'm drinking. Added some cucumber and I've let that sit for like 20 minutes. So the use of cherry in this is actually a happy accident. It just happens to be the tea that I'm using. But cherry has long been used to stimulate or attract love. And in fact, in Japanese folklore, if you tie a strand of your hair to a blossoming cherry tree, it is said to attract love. Isn't that beautiful? I'm definitely going to remember that for spring. There is actually a more complex version of the cherry spell for attracting love, but I'm going to show you that in a different video. I just would like to actually do that when cherries are in season. Another thing that goes into my toner is eye bright. So along with the green tea, I brew a little bit of this dried herb along with it This is eye bright. You can drink eye bright as a tea, but it's said that the tea infusion applied on the eyelids would induce clairvoyance and being able to see clearly, not just physically, but also mentally. So if you have a question, if you're unsure about something, you're looking for direction, you're looking for a decision to be made, eye bright is the thing to use. It's also got a little bit of orange essential oil in it, just a tiny bit, more for smell than anything, and it smells divine. It smells like fresh oranges, and it's also got some apple cider vinegar in there, which I think is the main thing that like tones the skin. Again, what is tone? Oranges are also connected to love. They're connected to luck, money, protection, and divination. I also use them a lot for creativity. I don't know where I heard that they were connected to creativity, and I'm a bit worried that I made it up, but that's what I use them for, and it works. There is also a really fun little folk magic thing that you do with orange seeds, but I'm not going to tell you about that because it's actually in the tarot deck that I'm designing. My tarot deck, the Ritual Kitchen recipe tarot deck, comes along with 78 recipes that correspond to the meaning of the card using the magical properties and the folklore of the ingredients in them. And one of these cards is represented by orange. It has a small little ritual in it in the recipe that is an old folk magic thing that you do with orange seeds. So I'm not going to tell you about that here because it's in the guidebook, the recipe collection that goes along with the tarot deck. So I don't want to give that away. I don't want to ruin it. If you are interested in finding out more about that and learning more about the folklore, the history, the magical properties of ingredients, then my tarot deck is a really fun way of doing that. So there is a link below for the Kickstarter. If that is something that you are interested in doing, then please jump on it now because there's only a couple weeks left where you can pledge. That's the kind of thing that you can find in there. You can find the meanings of the card told through the folklore and the stories and the magical properties of the ingredients, but you'll also find a recipe, and some of those recipes have these little folklore rituals in them. Everything in the guidebook is very, very simplified. There are no like elaborate or complicated recipes or rituals. Everything is very simple, easy to follow. I've tried to stick to ingredients that are relatively easy to find. There are a few wild cards in there, but you can certainly find them in dried form from like herbal shops or witchy blinky shops online. There are ways to find them, but I've tried to stick as much as I can to ingredients that you can find in the supermarket, just so that they're accessible and that everyone can join in and use them. If you want to be a part of that, please click on the link below. Even just check it out, just watch the video that I've put on there so that it explains the concept a little bit better, because sometimes when I'm rabbiting on, I find it hard to explain myself. So hopefully you get the gist of what this is and what it's going to be, and yeah, I'd just love to have your support. That's lovely. It smells like candy floss and cucumber sandwiches and marzipan, weirdly. It smells just like a high tea. It smells like an afternoon tea. I think it's the mix of that cherry and orange flavour makes it smell like Battenberg, and then obviously you've got the cucumber. So yeah, lovely afternoon tea toner. Another homemade remedy that makes my sink incredibly mucky is this. This is my toothpaste, believe it or not. Again, I make this in batches. I usually make it about once a week, and it's just activated charcoal, bicarb, and some coconut oil. I mean, you can infuse it with flavours if you want to, but I don't really like minty flavoured toothpaste. I don't really like any kind of flavour, really. But again, I don't use this every day. It would be quite bad for your teeth to use it every single day because it is quite gritty. I usually use it maybe 3 times a week, absolute tops. It looks pretty scary when you're doing it as well. It looks pretty gnarly. I think we all know by now the benefits of activated charcoal for your teeth. It is very, very whitening. When I'm not using that, I use normal toothpaste, and this is one of them, charcoal whitening. So this is just like a more natural, simplified version of that. But it does like go solid after you've made it. I mean, it's quite satisfying to dig into. It's like a butter. It's like a really solid butter. I don't even put it on my toothbrush. I just pop it in and start brushing. Chew it a little bit first. It instantly starts melting in your mouth, and it's very like coconutty. It looks pretty scary. To me, it tastes very like buttery, and I like that. I like butter, so I don't mind putting a lump of butter in my mouth. Obviously, you want to make sure that you wash your mouth out thoroughly after doing that, because like, as you can see, it's if it gets in between the cracks, you can look a bit like, oh, me hearties. I mean, it really works to clean your teeth, but as I say, my sink is not looking its best now. But listen, it's good that it messes up your sink, because much like the coffee scrub, it's encouraging you to clean. So very shortly, I'm going to go and wash my hair, which I won't take you with me to go and wash my hair, but I will show you what I use on my hair. Now, I don't make my own shampoo, but I actually do have a tip for getting the best out of the shampoo that you use, even though it's nothing to do with home remedies or witchcraft or anything like that. Well, I guess you could see it as witchcraft in a way. It works pretty well, and I have no idea why. So I can't show you what like shampoo I am like brand loyal to, because I change my shampoo every time I run out. I use something different, and that apparently is really good for your hair, because your hair sort of gets used to the shampoo that you're using. So if you switch up shampoo on it, it's more effective than if you were to just stick to the same shampoo. That's what I've heard anyway, and it does work for me. I don't have a particular shampoo that I use a different one literally every time I run out. And also you get the fun of like trying a new shampoo. So yeah, I'm not brand loyal to a shampoo at all, but my conditioner is something that I make, and this is it. This is Irish sea moss. I don't know if you've ever heard of a shop in LA called Air One that is famous for being incredibly overpriced. It's a bit like Whole Foods, but like on steroids, and they do a lot of like health foods, and they're famous for their smoothies. And one of their smoothies, I think it's called like the Hailey Bieber or something. It's so funny. I've got one foot in like woo-woo magic witchy culture, but I've also very much got one foot in meaningless pop culture. Don't get me wrong, I'm not above any of that, because I engage with it too. So what's so special about that smoothie is that it's got sea moss in it, and it's known as the beauty smoothie. So not only is this really good for your hair going on your hair, but it's really good if you eat it as well. It's edible. So Irish sea moss is believed to hold the magic of the sea. I think that's why it's connected with hair, like mermaids. But it is genuinely really good for your hair. It's connected to healing, fertility, and transformation. It's used in rituals to enhance growth and promote emotional healing, making it ideal for hair that needs nourishment and revival, which mine very much does. And you just use it like normal conditioner. Just run the gel through your hair, leave it for 3 to 5 minutes, and then wash it out. And it should be as silky smooth as any other conditioner. I really like it, and I love being able to use a different fragrance every time depending on my mood. Today I'm going with patchouli. I wanted something a bit uplifting. I used the coffee scrub like all over my body. It was lovely. And I've got the Irish sea moss in my hair, so the hair's feeling, it's feeling really clean, really good. I also sometimes use a bit of the hair oil just on the ends of my hair. So I'll do it on the roots before I wash it, and then on the ends after I've washed it. It's just good to put a bit of moisture back in there. Another thing that I use is a rinse. I haven't actually done it today, but I make a simmer pot, a big simmer pot full of water and rosemary and sometimes mint, any essential oils that I want to use. And for the final rinse of my hair, I use the simmer pot. I strain out all of the herbs, whatever I've put in there, and I just throw the pot over my head. And that makes my hair smell really nice. Sometimes I put rice in there because rice water is also really good for your hair. I think it's the starch or something. These sort of herbal simmer pots, and also the toner as well, are particularly good to use up herbs or cucumber that is on its last legs. If it's going out of date and you don't really want to eat it, whack it in a simmer pot. It actually helps you to stop wastage. We are almost completely done. There is just one thing left, and that is this. This is my moisturizer. Again, it's really simple. The smell that I've used is ylang ylang. Absolutely love the smell of ylang ylang. I think it was like the first incense sticks that I got when I was like 9 or 10. So it just really takes me back to being in my room and doing all like witchy concoctions when I was a kid. So yeah, I just take a little bit of this, make it all melty in my hands. It is quite greasy. Obviously the most important thing with skincare is an SPF. I don't actually put anything in this to make it like a sun cream. I use a separate SPF, but you can add an oxide to make this SPF moisturizer. And I've seen a lot about gua sha, and I totally see the benefit of using a proper gua sha. It's like the right shape, the right substance, it's nice and cool. But if you don't have one, you can just use your fingers. You can like shape your fingers, and if you run it with the shape of your bones, it's really good for like contouring your face. So yeah, it does look a bit greasy, but that's okay. Sometimes I pat myself. That is my beauty routine on the outside, but obviously beauty starts from within. I do actually have a video about a beauty smoothie that has a very special ingredient in it, one of the main things that I use if I'm looking to manifest beauty, so I'll leave a link to that somewhere. But I'm also today just going to take a shot of my fire cider. This fire cider that I've made is a bit different on the normal variation that I do, which again I have a video for that, so I'll leave another link to that video. But this one is very gingery. It's mostly just ginger actually. It's more of a ginger shot than a fire cider, but as I've been poorly for the last few days, this is going to go down a treat. Sometimes I put it into smoothies, sometimes I add it into soups or whatever I'm making that day, but I'm just gonna have it straight up today. Oh, it burns, but in the best way. So thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, because my kitchen isn't just for making kitchen witch food, it's for making all kinds of concoctions. I'm always experimenting with things, so I'd love to do an updated version of this one day, because I've gotten really into this recently, as you can tell. But these are the concoctions that I've found that I use most often. These are the ones that have been like really successful. And I just want to give you one final reminder about my tarot deck. Please click on the link below to find out more. I cannot wait to finish it. The luxury versions are going to come in homemade bags that are made by my next door neighbour Tyler, who lives over here. She's going to get working on those as soon as we have numbers of how many we need. And yeah, it's just going to be such a beautiful object to own. It looks like, fingers crossed, I don't want to jinx it, touch wood, do all the things, it looks like we might hit the target that we need to hit in order for me to complete it. So please go and check it out, and thank you again for watching one of my videos. It's so lovely to see so many new people here, and I'm reading all of your comments. You all have such insightful and amazing things to say. Like, honestly, couldn't have hoped for a better, more receptive audience on here, because I've only just started really getting into posting about my life as a kitchen witch. I've been doing that for about a year on Instagram, but now I'm really dedicating a lot of time to sharing what I do here on YouTube, where I can speak to you in a bit of a longer way and explain things better and just hang out together, really. So thank you again. If you do have any communities that you would want to share this with, that you think would like it, any groups on Facebook, any groups on Reddit, maybe not Reddit, I'm scared of Reddit, but anywhere where you think there is an audience for this kind of thing, where, you know, it could be helpful to people, I always appreciate people sharing the video, because I want to build such an amazing community on this channel, and I hope that I'm giving value back to you guys for doing that. So thank you again, honestly, really appreciate you being here. And yeah, have an amazing week. I will see you again this time next week.